Okay, perform the indicated operation. Okay, first off, we're following PEMDAS on these. Okay, we're just simplifying because there's no equal sign. So first things first, we have to get rid of parentheses. Well, because we follow PEMDAS. Parentheses, P. Exponents. Multiply, divide. These can be done together. These can be done together. Add, subtract. Okay, so parentheses first. Well, nothing inside your parentheses simplifies. Okay, so there are no exponents. Multiply, divide. Well, we know we're multiplying when we have parentheses. So a times 2a is 2a squared. A times negative 4 is negative 4a. So that's that first set. And now here we got to do it again. So negative 6 times a is negative 6a. And negative 6 times 9 is negative 45. Not going to trust my math on this Monday. Negative 54. Oh, I was backwards. Okay, and then we have to combine like terms. So if we look, these two are my like terms. And we have 2a squared, and then negative 4a minus 6a is negative 10a minus 54. So same exact concept here. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times 6 is 12x. 4x times 2x is 8x. 4x times negative 6 is negative 24x. Oop, this is squared. 4x times 2x is 8x squared. Sorry about that. X and x twice squared. So like terms are 6x squared plus 8x squared. Well, 6 plus 8 is 14. Yes. So this becomes 14x squared. And then we have 12x minus 24 is going to be negative 12x. Okay, now these say simplify, but here we have exponents. So we have to get rid of our exponents first because nothing inside my parentheses simplifies. Well, this is power to a power. Power to a power means you're going to give that exponent to everything on the inside, and you're going to multiply. So 3 times 2 is 6. This is technically to the first power, so 2 times 1 is 2. And then there are no parentheses here, so this is multiplying a, b squared, c. There are parentheses, but no power to a power rule. And now we're multiplying, and you add exponents. Because this is multiplying it 6 times, and then one more time. And remember, exponents tell you, or are telling you how many times you multiplied it. So if I multiply it 6 times, and then I multiply it one more time, that's multiplying it 7 times. Okay, b would come next because you put it alphabetically. B squared, there is no b over here, so it's just b squared. And then c squared, c to the 4th. Well, if I multiply it 2 times, and then 4 more, 2 plus 4 is 6. Here we have to follow the power to a power rule. So we're going to give the 3. We have to give the 3 to absolutely every single thing, top and bottom. So if it already has an exponent, if it doesn't, it's technically a 1. So we're multiplying. 2 times 3 is x6. 3 times 3 is y9. 3 times 1 is 3. Over 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. And now we're dividing. So we are going to subtract because if I have 9 on top and 3 on bottom, you subtract because 3 of them would cancel. So that would leave me with 6 on top. Well, x to the 6, there's no x's on bottom, so x to the 6 stays. 9 minus 3, well, where are there more? There are more y's on top, so y stays on top. 9 minus 3 is 6. And then if they match, they cancel. Because 3 minus 3 is 0, and anything to the 0 power equals 1. Well, anything times 1 is itself, so you don't have to put that 1 unless everything canceled. There's your answer. Okay, find the product. Well, anything squared just means twice, so we have to write it twice. So x plus 2y, x plus 2y, and now we have to double distribute. So x times x is x squared. X times 2y is 2xy, because remember we put our letters alphabetically. 2y times x is 2xy, and 2y times 2y is 4y squared. These are my like terms, so I get x squared. 2 plus 2 is 4xy plus 4y squared. Okay, so same exact concept. 3a minus 4b, 3a minus 4b, and double distribute. So 3a times 3a is 9a squared. 3a times negative 4b, well 3 times negative 4 is negative 12ab, negative 12ab, and 2 negatives makes a positive, so positive 16b squared. So again, like term, and I have 9a squared minus 24ab plus 16b squared. Okay, number 5 says simplify. Well, I have a plus in the middle, so we're not multiplying like we did on these. There was nothing in the middle, so that was multiplying. These are not multiplying because I have a plus in the middle. Well, a plus doesn't change anything. There's nothing in front of this parenthesis, so I don't need that first set of parentheses. And a plus, if I were to distribute a positive 1, nothing would change, so I don't need that parentheses either. And we just combine like terms. So there's no other x squared, so that goes first, highest degree first, so I use that one. And then I have 5x minus x, because those are like terms, which would give me positive 4x. And then we have 4 plus 4, which is plus 8. Okay. Here, though, again, we don't need that first set of parentheses, so 3x squared plus 2x minus 4. But here we have a negative, and if I distribute a negative, things do change, because like here, plus times a plus is a plus, plus times a negative is a negative, plus times a plus is a plus. Nothing changed. Negative times a positive is a negative. Negative times a negative is a positive. Negative times a positive is a negative. So when you have a negative, you actually have to distribute that negative. Okay, and now I'll combine like terms. So 3x squared minus 2x squared is just x squared. 2x plus 4x is 6x. And minus 4 minus 3 is going to be minus 7. Okay, solve for x. Now we're talking equations, so we have to simplify both sides like we've been doing, and then we solve for x. I'm going to use sticky notes because I do not have a ton of space. I find some plain sticky notes. If I have some. Okay, so number 7. I have this. I'm going to skip this over. So we are going to simplify both sides of my equal sign first. So 2 times 5x is 10x. 2 times 4 is 8. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. Bring down that 5. Negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. And now I'm going to simplify each side. I've got rid of my multiplication. So 10x minus 6x is 4x. 8 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then here I have negative 4x minus 1. So I always like to move my smallest variable first. I have a positive 4x and a negative 4x. Negative 4x is smaller. So I'm going to do plus 4x because I have to move it to the opposite side, so I have to do the opposite sign, plus 4x. And that leaves me with 8x plus 11 equals negative 1. Now I have to do minus 11, minus 11. I get 8x equals negative 12. Divide by 8, divide by 8. Well, this is going to be a fraction, and that's okay. Alpha y equals enter. Negative 12 over 8. This will simplify it for me. I get negative 3 over 2. Okay, number 8. Okay, here I have this. So I have 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 4 is negative 8. Oh, negative 12. Goodness gracious. 6x minus 12. Got to do my math correctly first. 11. I have to distribute this negative. Remember, when my negative is touching the parentheses, I have to distribute it. So minus 3x minus 5. So this side doesn't simplify. This is already simplified, but this side can. So I have negative 3x. And 11 minus 5 is going to be plus 6. And again, use your calculator if you need to. Okay, that's what you have it for. So I'm going to, again, move my smallest variable first. I'm going to do plus 3x, and I get 9x minus 12 equals 6, plus 12, 9x equals 18, divide by 9, I get x equals 2. Okay, you can also check your work for these. I'm going to show you on this one because it's easier. You'll do the same thing just with the fraction on the other one. So 3 parentheses 2, and instead of typing in x, I'm going to put 2 in parentheses every time. Minus 4, so 3 parentheses 2x, and instead of x, I put parentheses 2 parentheses minus 4, and that equals 0. And then 11 minus parentheses 3x, so parentheses 2 parentheses plus 5. Also equals 0. 0 equals 0, so both sides are equal, therefore we did it correctly. Okay, let's look at, I'm going to number these and let you keep them. Okay, so let's look at number 9. Number 9 is an ugly fraction. We need a common denominator so we can get rid of our fraction. So I know 6 cannot turn into 8. What can 6 and 8 both turn into? 8 can turn into 12, 8 can turn into 18, it can turn into 24, 8 can also turn into 24. So 24 is my GCF, my greatest common denominator. So my GCD is 24, greatest common denominator. So how do I turn an 8 into a 24? Well, if you're unsure, you can divide. 24 divided by 8, so I get 3. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3. Top times 3, bottom times 3. And I get 9x over 24 minus, and then 24 divided by 6, so I'm going to multiply by 4 this time. Times 4 times 4, so I get minus 4 over 24 equals, so 8 was times 3, so times 3 times 3, so that gives me negative 15x over 24 minus, and then 24 divided by 3 is going to be times 8. So times 8 times 8, and that gives me minus 16 over 24. When your denominators match, you can cancel them because that's saying everything divided by 24. So if I multiply everything by 24, as long as I do it to both sides of the equal sign, it matches. So this 24 cancels those 24s. And now I'm left with 9x minus 4 equals negative 15x minus 16. And now I can solve it just like the others. So I'm going to add 15x to both sides. And I get 24? 15 plus 9. Yeah, 24. So we do plus 4 plus 4. 24x equals negative 12. Divide by 24, divide by 24. So again, so I can do that in my calculator. Alpha y equals enter, negative 12 divided by 24. I get a half. So x equals negative a half. So this was number 9. So 10. Well, here, the nice thing is, if it's not already a fraction, it's the same thing as putting it over 1. So my greatest common denominator here, is 7, because that's a 7. 1 times 7 is 7, so I can make everything become a 7. So that's already 7, so I have 3x over 7 plus, well, times 7 times 7, and that gives me 14 over 7 equals negative 4x over 7 minus times 7 times 7, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 over 7. And again, just because I can multiply the whole thing by 7, so that makes all of these cancel. And I have 3x plus 14 equals negative 4x minus 35. And now we solve. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides, move my smallest variable first. And that gives me 7x plus 14 equals negative 35. So minus 14 minus 14. 7x equals negative 49. Divide by 7, and that gives me x equals negative 7. And again, you could check your work in your calculator. Okay, these are called literal equations. You solve them the same way, except you're just rearranging because they're letters. So you can't, like, simplify all the way. So here we're solving for L, so we get P equals 2. I'm going to use capital because it's obvious which one's the L. And I need to get L by itself. Well, here's the thing. There's 2 ways to do this, and I've seen it both ways. So I'm going to show you both ways. So minus 2w minus 2w. So P minus 2w equals 2L. And then you divide by 2. And I've seen it left like this. I've seen L equals P minus 2w over 2. But technically, like we kind of talked about, or we're about to talk about, I guess, you can simplify this further. So that could be your answer, maybe. But you can also rewrite this as P over 2 minus 2W over 2, and that cancels. So you could also see L equals P over 2 minus W. So I'm not sure which way you'll see it. You could see it both ways. I've seen it both ways, so I never know. If it's fully simplified, it's this, but sometimes they leave it like that. I don't know why. Okay, number 12, for solving for W, we have V equals LWH. Well, I want you to realize this is L times W times H when there's no symbol. So how would I get rid of multiplication? Well, division. So divide by LH, and I'm left with W equals V over LH. So don't overthink those. They're super simple. We like those. Dividing. I'm going to skip number 13 and 14, and I'm going to show you a video for those because those are going to take me a bit, and they're super confusing. So I'm going to let you watch the video for those. Hold on. Okay, 15. These are just like equations, except we have an inequality, which is this is less than. Your left hand makes your less than sign. Right hand makes your greater than. So we're going to simplify each side just like we did with equations. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20 minus 1. This side is already simplified, so we're just going to bring it down. And then negative 20 minus 1 is negative 21. So again, I like to move my smallest variable, and that's really important with inequalities because if you divide by negative, you have to flip your symbol. So I'm going to add 7x to both sides. Usually when I move my smallest variable, that keeps my my variable from becoming negative. So I have 12x minus 21 is less than or equal to negative 3, plus 21 plus 21. 12x is less than or equal to 18. Divide by 12, and I get x is less than or equal to, it's going to be 3 over 2. So we have to put these on a number line and write them in interval notation. So x is less than or equal to 3 over 2, so here's 3 over 2. Less is to the left, and this is your negative infinity, positive infinity. And equal to gets a square bracket. So this goes, you go farthest left to right, so farthest left is negative infinity all the way to 3 over 2 with a square bracket. And infinity always gets a parentheses because you can't touch infinity, so you get not equal to parentheses. There's your answer. Okay, let's look at number 16. This is an OR problem, so I want you to realize and and OR are different, because if I tell you you have to do number 15 and 16, that means you have to do both. But if I have to tell you you have to do 15 or 16, that means you can pick, right? Now, you still have to do both, but when it comes to your solution, I'll show you what I'm saying. So we're going to solve both sides. Plus 4, plus 4. We have 3x is less than 6. Divide by 3, and we get x is less than 2. Or, here we're going to do plus x, always move your smallest one. 3 is less than 3x minus 6, plus 6, so we get 9 is less than 3x, divide by 3, and we get 3 is less than x. Now, if I want to flip this, that's fine, but the mouth is eating the x and pointing at the 3, so x eating the x, pointing at the 3. So x is less than 2 or greater than 3. So it means it doesn't have to satisfy both at the same time. It doesn't have to be greater than 2 and less than 3. It could be one or the other, and it's a solution. So let's put this on our number line. 2 is less than 3. Okay, x is less than 2, so less is to the left, and a not equal to gets a parentheses. X is greater than 3. Greater gets a parentheses, greater goes to the right. So it's this or this. And the way we write that in interval notation, well, it goes to the left forever. And then it stops at 2 with a parentheses because it's not equal to 2, it's less than 2. And we call this a union, a gap, a union. So it breaks up and then it picks back up at 3 and goes to infinity forever. So this is your interval notation. Okay, this is an and problem. We know that because it's all together. Anytime it's all together, it's going to be an and problem. So and is different. If I have to tell you to do both, you have to, so this is going to, when I graph it, it has to satisfy both at the same time. So this one's a little weird. When you solve these, whatever you do to the middle, you want x by itself in the middle. You have to do to all three sides. So if I'm going to add 5 to get x by itself, plus 5 here, plus 5 here also. That zeroes out, and I have 3x in the middle. That gives me 3. That gives me 12. Now I divide by 3 here, so I divide by 3 here and here as well. So now I have x alone. That gives me 4. That gives me 1. So when I graph this, I have 1 is less than 4. Okay. X, I have to read it from the middle out. So I know this is a less than symbol, but x is being eaten. Let's pretend this is Pac-Man. Okay, x is being eaten, so x is bigger than 1. Well, bigger goes to the right. So if x is greater than 1, it's not equal to, so it gets a parentheses. And x is less than or equal to 4. Well, less than goes to the left, and equal to gets a square bracket. Now, if it's and, it has to satisfy both at the exact same time. Well, that's where the graphs overlap. So it satisfies both right here. It does not satisfy both here or here. So our solution starts at 1 with a parentheses and goes to 4 with a square bracket. So another AND problem, because it tells me. So here I'm going to add x to both sides. Always move my smallest variable first. Minus 14, minus 14. 3x is greater than negative 12. Divide by 3, divide by 3. I get x is greater than negative 4. Minus 2, minus 2. I have negative x is greater than or equal to negative 3. Now this is where things get weird. So I couldn't avoid it on this one like I did on the others because I didn't have an x on both sides. But when you have a negative, you have to divide both sides by negative 1. But when you're dealing with inequalities, if you multiply or divide both sides by negative, you have to flip your symbol. So this gives me positive 3. So this is AND. So let's graph it. Negative 4 is smaller than positive 3. Okay, x is greater than negative 4 and not equal to. X is less than or equal to 3. And it is equal to, and remember, AND is where they overlap. Now if they never overlap, that means there's no solution. But these do overlap, so we're good. Because there's no solution here, they don't overlap, don't overlap. Okay, now we're looking at absolute values. So absolute values are the graphs that when you would graph them, they look like V's. Okay, and it's because the absolute value cancels a negative because it's telling you your distance from 0. And distance is always positive, and that's why absolute values cancel the negative. So, I'm just going to do this. Start videoing, but turning the light on. Okay, so you have to do it. So you get your absolute value alone, which my absolute value is already alone, and I have to rewrite it exact. And I have to rewrite it equal to the opposite. So 3, that's kind of hard to see. X plus 1 over 2 equals negative 2 because, I'm going to go turn my light on. Because, remember, the absolute value cancels the negative. So if this equals negative 2 on the inside, it's still going to equal positive 2 because of the absolute value. So you have to solve both. So how do we get rid of division? We multiply. And we get 3x plus 1 equals 4. So minus 1, 3x equals 3. Divide by 3, x equals 1. Okay, times 2 times 2. 3x plus 1 equals negative 4. Minus 1. Divide by 3. And we get 5/3. So my solution here is negative 5/3, comma 1. Okay, number 20 is similar, except this time it's an inequality. So when it's great or, this is only for absolute values, and less than, okay? If it's a greater problem, it's or. If it's less than, it's and. So this is a great or, so this is an or problem. So my absolute value is already alone. I don't have to move anything in front or behind the absolute value. So I have 2x minus 7 is greater than or equal to 5. And then 2x minus 7, flip my symbol, negative 5. And now solve both. So plus 7 plus 7. 2x is greater than or equal to 12. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is greater than or equal to 6. Plus 7, plus 7. 2x is less than or equal to 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is less than or equal to 1. So this is an OR problem. They do not have to overlap. X is less than or equal to 1. And x is greater than or equal to 6. So farthest left is negative infinity to 1. Break, picks back up at 6, goes all the way to positive infinity. Okay, let's look at 21. So it says to graph these. They are inequalities. They're already in slope-intercept form. That's exciting because that makes my life easy. Your y-intercept is by itself. So on my y-axis, I'm going to put a point at -3. And then my slope is -1/2. So I'm going to go down 1, always go right. So down 1, right 1, 2. And now I can do opposite, up 1, left 2. There's a gnat. Okay, and now this is going to be, so inequalities are different. You can't just draw a solid line. This is going to be a dashed line because it's not equal to. So I'm going to connect every other dot. And you also have to shade either above or below the line. Well, y is greater. If something's greater than you, that's above you. Now that only works when y is alone. So we got lucky on these two. Y was already alone for us. Now you could have also typed this in your y equals and plotted a bunch of points, but I think it's easier without if you know how. So this is my y-intercept. At 1, 4/1 is my slope. So I'm going to rise 4, always right 1. Down. Okay, this is equal to, so it is a solid line. And this is y is less than, so it's going to be below the line. So this one is above, this is below, because if you touch the line and draw down, it's going to be this side. So there's your graph. Okay. So this is where we are. Number 23. Okay, so it says write an equation only 4 times the sum. So 4 times means multiply. And anytime you see the word sum or difference, you have to open a parentheses. And sum means plus. So we know we're plus, and it says a number. Well, we don't know what number, so we always use x and 6. So x and 6 is means equals the same. Well, is the same as means equals 5 less. Well, that's not 5 minus, that's actually minus 5. If I have 5 less than you, I'm going to take 5 away to be the same, or you're going to take 5 away to be the same. Twice the number. So 2x is twice the number minus 5. So this becomes 4 parentheses x plus 6 equals 2x minus 5. Okay, so number 24. It says write an equation only. A pitcher was filled with 2 quarts of water. So we know it started at 2 quarts. A hole in the bottom allows the water to drip out, so we're losing water at a rate of 0.1 quarts per hour. Per each and every tells me where my slope goes, so my x. Write an equation that best represents W, the amount of water left. So this equals what's left in the picture. (25) Write an expression. A rope was cut into 2 sections so that the longer section is 5 more and 3 times the shorter section. What is the total length of the rope? Writing expression, a rope was cut into 2 sections. We have a rope. And it's cut into 2 sections, so we cut it. The longer section is 5 more, so plus 5, 3 times the shorter section. So we're going to use, we don't know how long the shorter section is, so we're going to use x. So this is 3x plus 5. That's my longer section. And we literally just use x to represent the shorter section. So shorter section is just x. And then my longer section is 3 times x plus 5 more. What is the total length? Well, let's put them back together, so let's add them. Well, x plus 3x is 4x plus 5. So this is number 25. Okay, let's look at number 26. Write the function in slope-intercept form. Well, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So really I just want it to be equal to y. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I get y equals 3 parentheses x plus 6 plus 2, and I'm going to simplify. So 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 6 is 18 plus 2, and 18 plus 2 is 20. Write the function in standard form. Okay, when we want to go to standard form, we know standard form is ax plus by equals c. And we also know that our slope is opposite of a over b. Well, the top is opposite of a, and we need to find a, b, and c. So opposite of this is a, well, opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. Exact b is 3, and we don't know c. So 2x plus 3y equals c. Well, we know that this is my y-intercept. Y-intercept is written with x is 0, so 0, 1, and we could plug that in there. So 2 times 0 plus 3 times 1, and that gives me 3. So this is 2x plus 3y equals 3. Because this is 0, 3 times 1 is 3. So there's my answer. Okay. This is 27. Horizontal line. Okay, anytime you see horizontal, we know HOI. Horizontal, which is side to side. 0 slope. This is 0 slope. Y equals equation. No x. So y equals, if it goes through this, well, what is the y of this point? There's your answer. No x. That was number 28. Okay, write the equation in standard form that goes to this point. So again, standard form, we need to know a, b, and c. So first things first, we have to find our slope. Well, we know that y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 tells us our slope. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So this is number 29. Y2 is negative 4 minus y1 is 2 over x2 is 1 minus x1 is negative 3. And I'm just going to type that in my calculator so I don't make any silly mistakes. Negative 4 minus 2, 1 minus negative 3 gives me negative 3 over 2. Now again, opposite of A over B. So I know 3x plus 2y equals something is my answer. I don't know what C is yet. So I can use one of the points to plug in and solve. So 3x plus 2y equals c, 3, and instead of x, I'm going to use negative 3, plus 2, and instead of y, I'm going to use 2. So I pick that first point, and I'm going to see what that equals. And that equals negative 5. So c equals negative 5, negative 5. There's c. So 29, that's the answer. 30. Find the slope and the x and y intercepts of this line. Slope is opposite of a over b. So let's find a and b first. Well, actually, we don't even have to. Opposite. We know this is a. We know this is b. Opposite of a is negative 3 over exact b is negative 7, which is 3 over 7. So there's your slope. Then my intercepts, well, I know my x-intercept is where y equals 0, and my y-intercept is where x equals 0. Okay, x-intercept, so we know that we're going to plug in 3x plus, 3x minus 7y equals 42. We're going to plug in y is 0. 3x minus 7 and solve for x. Well, 0 equals 0, so divide by 3, divide by 3. 42 divided by 3 is 14. So I know that my x-intercept is 14, which is 14 comma 0, because that's where y equals 0. Okay, now my y-intercept is where x equals 0, so I'm going to plug in x is 0, well, that equals 0, so divide by negative 7, divide by negative 7. 42 divided by negative 7 is negative 6, so y equals negative 6, so this is 0, negative 6. Because we know our points are written x comma y, and we just wrote that x was 0, y is 0. Okay, look at 31. It says, write the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through here with a slope of negative 3/4. Well, we know slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. We know our slope, m, is negative 3/4. So we know y equals negative 3/4 x. But we don't know our y-intercept. That's not my y-intercept. So let's plug in what we do know. We do know that y is 2 equals my slope is negative 3/4 times x is negative 4 plus we don't know b. Now let's solve for b. Well, alpha y equals enter, negative 3 over 4 times negative 4 is just 3. So this is 2 equals 3 plus b minus 3, and that gives me b equals negative 1. There's your answer. Which of the following is not a solution? I'm not going to do this one fully. I'm just going to tell you how you can do it. You can literally just type them in. So 3 parentheses 8 minus 8 parentheses negative 3, because that's my x, that's my y. Does it equal 48? It does. So this is a solution. Actually, I can go through it all. It's fine. So we have 3 parentheses negative 3 minus 8 parentheses 8. That did not equal 73, so this is, the following is not a solution. We're going to circle the ones that are not a solution because that's not a solution. 3 parentheses 0 minus 8 parentheses 6. That equaled negative 48. It's not the same thing, so that is also not a solution. 3 parentheses negative 8 minus 8 parentheses negative 9 equaled 48, so that is a solution. 3 parentheses 16 minus 8 parentheses 0, not 1, equaled 48, so that is a solution. So there's my answer. Okay, domain and range are super simple. We like these. So domain is just a list of all x's, and a range is all the y's. Okay, so here I have 1, 2, 3 x's. We're also stating if it's a function. So if your x repeats, it's not a function. 1, 1, this is not a function. So my domain is your x's, so negative 3, 1. You don't have to write them more than once if they repeat, and your range is 4, 5, 6. So there's your domain and range. 34, as long as each number only has one arrow, it is a function, so this is a function. And my domain is all my x's, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And my range is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, your arrows can go to all the same number on the y. We don't care about y's having more than one arrow, but your x's can only have one arrow. Here you do the vertical line test. None of my lines touch more than once, so this is a function. My domain is my x's, so we're going to look at the x-axis. I know we do left to right, so negative 3, negative 2, 1, 3, 5. Range is your height. So this is the height of 3, 4, and then those are all 5. You don't have to write it more than once. Okay, solve each system by graphing. You're going to graph these. They're equations, which is nice. We're going to graph the bottom one first. So this starts at negative 2. Has a slope of 1. So that's going to look like this. Okay, here you can solve for y to make your life easy. Minus 2x, minus 2x. And it's actually going to give you a fraction, so it doesn't really make your life easy. So the easiest thing to do is to find your slope, which is opposite of a over exact b, so it's going to be positive 2/3, and to find one of your intercepts, which both of my intercepts are fractions. So let's put it in y equals, actually. Good. So we are going to solve for y equals, because if I plug in 0 here and divide by 2, I get a half, and I plug in 0 here, I get a third, so neither of my intercepts are pretty. So we're going to type in our calculator. So we get 2x minus 3y equals 1, minus 2x, divide by negative 3, and we're going to divide the whole thing by negative 3. So we're going to type that in our calculator and plot points. So we have negative 7, negative 5. Negative 4, negative 3. Negative 1, negative 1. 2, 1. So it's getting super close. 5, 3. That's where it touches. So this is my answer. So 5, 3 is my answer. Because where they touch is your solution.